Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 158 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. As always, I'm Matt, and I'm joined this week by Keo.
Hello.
Cameron.
Hello.
And friend of the show, Tom.
Hello.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had a guest on the show, but this is our good mate Tom. You might know him better as Cavaliers07, as he gets read out on the Patreon list every week. He's been a firm supporter of the podcast for a very long time, even since way back in the day. And so we wanted to have him on, have a bit of a chat, and see how he's doing. And again, if anyone else wants to join the podcast or jump on for an episode, we're doing the show through Discord now and all that kind of stuff. So relatively easy to set up. So let us know if you'd like to guest on the show. And we love hearing from our community. But otherwise, we do the show live. So Twitch, come say hi. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. You can hang out in the chat, shit post, send memes. I also like it when people participate in discussion or give their opinions on the news pieces, and we can kind of respond in real time as much as we can while we're recording. We don't have any community questions this week, but I did want to have a chat with Tom here about him, since this is his first time on the show. So a big welcome to you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's my favourite subject myself. But no, I'm really good. If you haven't already guessed, I'm from the UK, so I need to have some Brit representation on the podcast. It's too American and Aussie.
Kiwi.
We've noticed that.
Yeah, I've always wanted more Brits on the podcast, but that time zone is I don't know what you guys were thinking when you invented that. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I said, you've been a supporter of the podcast for a long time, and obviously I assume you've been gaming for a long time. I guess let's start with from the beginning. Like, what got you into video games in the first place?
Okay, so video games for me probably started in the 90s. Got a Game Boy Color, and then that lovely Pokemon Blue.
Classic.
Back as a Christmas present. So that was my introduction into gaming. Then did some PC gaming, so your Theme Hospitals, your kind of Theme Sims, Theme World, Theme Park, all of those sorts of stuff. Then had a PlayStation 1 with lots of cracked games, so I had a bag full of just dodgy games. Yeah, terrible. Then moved on to Xbox, 360, One, Series, kind of all the way through. Started achievement hunting probably back in 2007.
Oh, yes, same time as me. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's been a long time. And I did the worst achievement hunter thing, which is my first game on my tag is Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. So it's a game I can never complete.
I'm with you. Like that's one of the first ones I did. I think I picked it up. Like I rented it. I think it was like the second game I played or something. And like I was like, I owned Gears of War. That was the first game I bought. And then I was like, oh yeah, Ghost Recon. This looks like fun. I obviously didn't look at the leaderboard achievements. Didn't this is before TA was really a thing even. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, my day one on Xbox is Graw Gears. It's like the worst two achievement hunting games.
Would it be safe to assume then you just saw like the Xbox 360 days and you just went like, all right, here's this new cool thing achievements, I'm going to jump on this? Or
that is pretty much. I've always been a completionist, a collectionist. So give me a checklist and I will follow it.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah. It's what makes Ubisoft games really sad now, because you used to be able to just do the list, but now they decide for gameplay reasons to reset everything. So you can never get that checkbox done.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely anything with a checkbox, checklist, I love playing. Assassin's Creed's probably my big go-to. I've got Origins, Odyssey complete, Valhalla I'm 150 hours in.
Oh yeah.
So Assassin's Creed series, I've got a thing for JRPGs at the moment, so Yakuza, Persona, I'm playing Metaphor at the moment, but I'll discuss that later. So yeah, just long games. Which new one? The Pirate one.
The Pirate Yakuza one just came out?
Yeah. The name, yeah.
Yeah, so that one is on my list. I nearly put Metaphor down. Pirate games get me all the time. So I played Cutthroat, Sid Meier's, Skull and Bones. I played a lot last year. I'm one of the few people who.
I was going to say someone had to, apparently.
I need to go back.
It's one of those mystery numbers that like the crew had, where it's like, did anybody actually play this? And it turns out there's thousands and thousands of people actually playing the game, but you don't know anyone that was doing it. when it came out.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, there was a nice community back last year. Lots of Discords going, lots of community. So it was actually quite nice to play. Everyone was slagging it off, and there was.
It is on my list at some stage. I mean, because it'll be in part of Ubisoft Plus, so it's one of those easy, like, yeah, sure, you know, if I'm not paying for it technically, then it's probably not a bad one to jump on. So yeah, you mentioned a few genres there, and kind of like, are those the same genres that you enjoy to play, or is there? This is also that question of like games you enjoy versus games you enjoy achievement hunting are not always the same. You know, like I don't know, like you find a lot of JRPGs tend to have like long lists, or they tend to be long completions, and they kind of a lot involved. And same with the Ubisoft games, especially like Valhalla is a great example of a game that just goes on for a very long time. How do you feel about it?
I probably these days go for more playing what I want rather than achievement hunting. I did a load of quick games years ago, and then I tried to complete every game, and I stopped enjoying doing that. I'm very bad at completing games. I will usually leave 1 or 2 achievements at the end. I'm not one for that grind at the end. That's just.
I've got a few like that.
But yeah, for me, I'm enjoying the story on the JRPGs. That's the reason I'm playing them. Ubisoft, I've always played Ubisoft games, but there's something satisfying about knowing what you're going into.
Sure. Yeah.
The problem is those all take hundreds of hours, so I probably don't play as much of the smaller stuff, which is what I'm trying to do this year. Well, once I've got Metaphor and Yakuza and the rest of the long ones done. Genre-wise, I play anything pretty much apart from platformers, because I can't jump.
Right.
Yeah.
That is my one weakness is jumping.
Platforming is a nightmare. Sorry, yeah, Cameron, I saw you. The thing just popped up on my screen. Sorry, is the stream down?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
I think the stream just crashed. It's fine. We can
I kept on trying to load into it before, and it kept on coming up with.
That's fine. Maybe Twitch is having issues. It's fine. We'll just keep going, and we'll just. Yeah. It's fine. I'm not worried because I'm recording locally anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Tom. So, platformers. Platformers really did have a bit of a heyday back in the day, right? Like that was the genre of choice for early consoles. Well, I guess earlier, so like PlayStation, N64, like the 3D consoles. It was all about the 3D platformers. Everyone wanted to be Mario 64. I guess. Do you have any like favorite games or favorite genres, or like any like or like ones that really stick out, even outside of Xbox?
Outside of Xbox, my favorite genres are probably your RPGs. So it is your Dragon. I spent ages playing Dragon Ages, the Mass Effects, Skyrim. I put way too much time into Starfield. So the Bethesda RPGs is probably what grabs me.
Gotcha.
Elder Scrolls Online as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Can't get away from it.
Yes. I got lost for a couple of years in Elder Scrolls Online.
I've heard like people. Yeah, again, like I know a few people who play it. Like Jake, who was on the other week, was kind of talking about like Jake and Shane have kind of been talking about it a bit and that kind of stuff. It seems like the kind of thing where it's just like you play that and then you just don't play anything else for a little while.
It's just a second job.
That's MMOs, right? They just can't get away from it.
It's better than Neverwinter, so.
Oh fuck me! I mean, to be fair, I think just about anything on the Xbox is better than Neverwinter. Still haven't redownloaded it. I've been clean for several months now. And every now and then I see it when I'm scrolling through my list and be like, But I'm like, no, I had to get away from that. All right. Well, Tom, thanks for jumping on the show with us. I think we'll crack into some news. What have we got this week? Cameron, you want to go through our news stories?
I was going to do that. Let me just... All right. Where should I begin? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
Yeah, let's talk about Tony Hawk.
All right. So there's been some rumors circulating at the moment that a potential Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remaster is alive and well, which I think wasn't there information about it being cancelled some time ago?
Well,
it was
before Activision got acquired, they basically said they were cancelling it. There was apparently, like Tony Hawk said, there was apparently plans to do it, and it got cancelled, and that was before the acquisition. I think after the acquisition, Phil Spencer I think he, again, if I remember correctly, said something about like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to bring back like old franchises and stuff, and people like, like Tony Hawk and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
The three bits of information spawning is pro skateboarder Sean Jones. Not sure if I'm saying that right. Says he's in the upcoming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remaster. An insider reported that the 3 and 4 remaster will shadow drop during the Xbox Games Showcase in June, which would be a pretty good shadow drop.
Yep.
And then the remaster was supposedly scrapped when Vicarious Visions was merged into Blizzard.
Because Vicarious Visions also used to like run like Crash Bandicoot and that kind of stuff for Activision back in those days after Naughty Dog left.
So there is another further update on that as well. If you guys haven't seen, the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Season 2 Reloaded actually has a new... Their theme is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can buy each turtle individually, blah, 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 for 2,500 code points. One of the new maps is it's called, I think, Grind Ooze, or Ooze Grind. And it has a little banner on it that actually is pointing to a specific date. And it has, I think, one of the Tony Hawk logos, like the skater logo in the skate park with the the date underneath, which I think, I'm just trying to see the date. Here it is. It's 03/025, so 3rd of the 4th or 4th of the 3rd, whichever way they're going with that. But it's basically 2025, either April 3rd.
It'll be American, so
yeah, exactly. So it's probably April 3rd, and there's actually the skater logo just above it. So it's hinting at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater coming up as a spotlight. I would laugh if it's actually just going to be Tony Hawk in Call of Duty, but yeah. So everyone's kind of going insane about that. So
yeah, I mean,
Grind Ooze. What date was that again?
So 03/04/25.
So the 4th of March.
In the spot. It's like on a TV screen or something in the game, in that map. So
the first thing that I looked up, I think for at least the last 3 or 4 years, the showcase has always been on the second Monday in June, because it coincides with the Queen's or the King's birthday.
Okay.
It's always a public holiday, and that's why I usually watch the showcase that morning.
Got it. Okay.
Because I can stay up for the public holiday. That's the 9th of June this year.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
There's some disconnect there.
We'll see. Okay.
Yeah. But it's still interesting.
I mean, to be fair, like Pro Skater 1 and 1+2 isn't on Game Pass or anything yet. Like that's one of those ones that people have been like, they've slowly been drip feeding out the Activision games bit by bit. So like, because they had Crash Bandicoot and Spyro recently, right? And I think Nitro Kart. Did Nitro Kart just get added? I'm trying to remember.
I think
it did. I think.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I vaguely remember. I just kind of glazed over it because it's not really my kind of game. But it does. I think it would make a lot of sense for them to put a Tony Hawk game out in Game Pass, and they've already got one, and if they got a new one coming up, it's a good way to generate some hype, get some interest involved. I don't know. I mean, in terms of like history with the franchise, have any of you guys played a lot of the Tony Hawk games? I mean, I played a shitload of 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation.
I missed the first one originally, and then went back on PC when they were released for PC. So
I
think I've got American Wasteland. Go ahead, Cameron.
I'm just trying to think. I think I only played the original, like 1 through 4, a little bit back in the day. Like it might have been like a rental kind of.
Sure, yeah, I didn't own them. I think one of my mates had them.
Yeah.
But then when we got to like PS2 era and we had like Tony Hawk's Underground 1 and 2, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's when my family got really into them.
Gotcha.
And when they started to do like the interwoven story.
So
some of the stories.
That's where it got weird.
Yeah. So Tom, with your experience, have you only really had American Wasteland as a game?
Yeah, American Wasteland I got the completion for, so I played that to hell.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't played Pro Skaters, but American Wasteland, Underground, they were all like the key games in my like.
Yeah, so it's wildly different when they started going down that road compared to the original 4. So,
Yes.
and there are a few copies, like you had Matt Hoffman BMX and stuff like that. Kelly Slater Pro Surfing, I think
I was just about to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just looking for the controller, the
ride
the
controller.
The ride controller.
The ride controller, because I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't
Talking
have
about
that
the
to
arches from the
move.
series.
That ride controller thing is burned into my memory because I remember that they announced it at the same time they announced the Kinect. Back when it was called the Project Natal. And it was the whole thing. And the video that they showed was someone scanning in their skateboard and using it in a game. And then Tony Hawk had to come out with this fake like peripheral thing, like right afterwards, and be like, "Hey guys, you could do a kickflip on this thing, maybe. I don't know." And then I remember the Penny Arcade comic was basically like the idea of like anyone who would buy that is the kind of person who would join a cult, and it was basically just Tony Hawk giving everyone the Kool-Aid that would help them ascend. Yeah, I mean, like I'm keen to see what they do with Tony Hawk. I mean, I think I'm past the age where I can deal with skateboarding games anymore. Like I just don't have that skill set in terms of like doing combos and all tricks and all that kind of stuff. It's the same reason I didn't really get into Rollerdrome. It just kind of, as much as I love the shooting and the verticality and the moving, the actual like having to do tricks and stuff and remember what I've done and not repeat stuff and land it without fucking face planting, just kind of does not appeal to me anymore.
It's weird because like I would say pre-achievement era me would like love these games, but now it's just look at the list.
For sure.
Because if you take the achievements out of it, just going to a sandbox and messing around, like it's a perfect game for that. Just messing around and trying to get a combo and
and you always aspire to 100% those games, like based on content, right?
Yeah, they'd be like, you unlock cool characters and stuff.
Unlock all the characters. They'd have Spider-Man. They'd have some donut cop dude.
Darth Maul or whatever. Yeah.
So, the
gameplay elements were always pretty like you would have a handful of collectibles, you would have hit a high score, you would have. I remember like game modes like Horse was like so fun back in the day. So I'm glad this is getting a remaster. It's disappointing too with the franchise that like how. Correct me if I'm wrong. 5 performed
badly. I mean, it was an awful game just in general. It was completely broken.
Yeah. And there was like 15 megabytes on the disc or something.
Yeah, it wasn't
even there.
You had
to download the whole thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I guess we'll see. I mean, we hear these rumors a lot, and it has been a little while. But I think it's a good sign that. It does seem like a pretty badly kept secret that they are doing another Tony Hawk game of some kind, whether it's a remaster or whether it's something brand new. I'm not sure, but remaster is probably the safe bet.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering how many staff you'll need to do a project like that.
I mean, if you already have the engine built from the first game, maybe not as many as you'd expect.
And all that.
Yeah.
Oh no, interesting. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Marvel Rivals. This isn't really much of a news story, but it did get a lot of traction.
I think it's a news story just because of how surprising it is. So, just to essentially go into it, NetEase Games has laid off several members of the Marvel Rivals team for organizational reasons after the game was essentially like really critically successful.
Mm-hmm.
So several members got laid off, so it affected the US-based team, and Marvel Rivals essentially held a top 5 position on the TA gameplay charts ever since it launched back in December. There was Thaddeus Assassa posted on LinkedIn saying that this is a weird industry. My stellar talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games and were just laid off. And I'm thinking in two mindsets about this. Like, this is a live service game. What do you want to support that later on? But then, if these developers were just essential for delivering the core experience and everything else is management.
Yeah, I guess that the skill set and level of staff needed to manage an ongoing game versus straight up first delivery is potentially quite different. Also, like NetEase are a Chinese company, right? They are looking. Yeah, they seem to be divesting themselves a little bit of kind of the like Western stuff, they tend to be kind of bringing things more in house. Again, like this is only affecting the US team apparently, as far as we're aware, and it's also I think it's a team of like 6 people or so that apparently have been impacted by this. So I don't know. It sounds bad, and it is bad because layoffs have been really bad across the industry. But I don't know if it's
yeah. And is it mass layoffs or is it just downsizing after the release of the game?
Yeah,
you don't need people. You don't need certain people doing that. But
at the same time, you would think a game like Marvel Rivals would be, it is a live service game. It is going to be something that will benefit from level designers, from from coding relating to new characters, like all the stuff that essentially Overwatch should be doing.
Sure.
Yep.
I don't know, unless they're just moving it all to the Chinese team.
Well, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're basically gone, actually, we've kind of got the Western side of things taken care of now. We'll just do the rest of this in-house and just contract out for the bits and pieces that we need. But I don't know. I mean, I know that, Cameron, you absolutely love the game, and it's on our Game of the Year list.
And I mean, like, even I think they've released 6 heroes or something with season 1.
That's a lot.
Like, I know that's got the Fantastic Four in there now. Don't know if Blade got added. At the bare minimum, I know Fantastic Four got added in.
Yeah.
And their power's pretty unique. I haven't jumped back on it since I got
right.
the but
Yeah.
It was immensely much more enjoyable time than Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah. Tom, do you play any of these kind of games, or?
I've not played Marvel Rivals at all. So.
Did you play Overwatch or anything like that, or?
Nope. I've kind of dodged most of the live service games, so I skipped Overwatch.
Congratulations.
I think it's the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
My wallet's definitely thanked me for it, and yeah.
You know what though? The best thing about this game is I spent $0.
Yeah.
And they haven't released any title updates or any any content tied to achievements. So we're safe.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not really much else to it other than that. Like, this obviously got a lot of traction because this guy was, he was director of a team. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're laying off the entire staff," and it's like, no, it's like 6 people, and it's kind of it's been a lot of back and forth around kind of how, if games can be this successful, where like Marvel Rivals was a huge smash hit, to the fact that kind of they're still laying off people is kind of not a good sign for the industry. Which fucking sucks, but it is what it is.
Wondering, it probably just comes across more as office politics.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think maybe it's they NetEase are divesting themselves of not just this studio but other studios that they've acquired kind of in the Western space, because I guess they make more money in China. They make more money, I don't know. We'll see, I guess, how we go. But all right, and now we get to one of my favorite reoccurring segments is Phil Spencer goes on a podcast, says a bunch of shit, and now we get 5 news articles about it.
But you know what? The people that we've had on our podcast before.
Yes, that's true. This is true.
We've been, in terms of 6 degrees of separation.
We're 2 degrees away from Phil Spencer, is what you're saying. Yes. Well, once you get Phil Spencer to get on the podcast, then maybe we can have a chat about it. But
yeah.
Episode 200? I don't know.
Yes. Episode 2000, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, where do we want to start? There's the whole thing around, if you haven't seen the interview, I would recommend go check it out. It's over on Xbox Era. They do a great job as always. They've been guests on the show, and they're fantastic human beings.
Go check it out on their website.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Because I'm probably the only one here that watched it. I was just doing it. I was just watching it whilst I was doing Splitgate, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my percentage up. It was a really good, laid back kind of. Most of the other interviews ask the hard hitting questions or the more things. This was more so like a celebration of Xbox Era hitting, I believe, 250 episodes.
Yep.
And with it, they were asking questions alongside, first one straight off the bat was, all right, what do you get the man that, the man owns Xbox. Not owns Xbox, but you know.
He runs. Yeah.
Runs Xbox. He lives and breathes Xbox. What do you get the person that? Because it was his birthday, I think, end of Jan.
Right.
Yeah. And he was talking about his 20-year-old daughters get him dog merch because he loves coming home to his dog.
Oh, that's cute.
So just very wholesome moment to start off the show. But there's some other like Xbox news that he answered that we'll go into a little bit detail after this. He also hosted their game show that they do, the Name a Game kind of stuff. It was a really wholesome feeling kind of episode where I know, like, I saw Rosetta on that after, like, why didn't they ask the hard-hitting questions? And it's like, well, if you're on for basically, like, hey, congratulations.
It depends on what the reason is for the interview. I get it. And to be fair, like, he has been getting hard-hitting questions from all over the place. I mean, if you go listen to that, like, Destin interview.
Yeah.
This one's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Destin's one is good for, like, different reason, and all their podcasts were all recorded on the same day.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
They were originally meant to get him on earlier.
Right.
But then it got postponed because the developer direct.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Straight after the developer direct, having that positive sense.
A lot of people want to talk. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the stories they were talking about was people have concerns over like Xbox's future in general, right? Xbox has moved to this multi-platform thing. He's been very, very upfront about that. But there's this idea of like, well, what happens to your like libraries? What happens to like the Xbox ecosystem if things go third party and they don't have a console anymore? Which again, they said Phil has said they will do at least one more console. But if we're thinking like in the far future, in like maybe 10 years from now, what happens to your libraries? But Phil has basically come out and said that like they really want to strengthen that. They've got like strong stuff with cloud going on. Like that's huge and growing for them. And obviously libraries are a big part of importance there. And obviously Game Pass, even not necessarily around ownership, but also like being part of that ecosystem. And I guess for our interest, the achievement system kind of ties in with that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, like Keo, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it that hasn't already been said about, Phil, and like it ties into some of the other news stories that we've got to talk about as well anyway. But like it's they seem pretty upbeat about the future of Xbox themselves, like really just generally at the moment. And when they say digital libraries, are they safe? Like the only thing that we've got to worry about with digital libraries not being safe is if they just go away, right?
Sure. If something happens to Xbox.
Exactly. So, and there's no way to guarantee that. But I mean, like, other than that, yeah, for the life of them sticking around with Xbox, it's going to be there. So he's not wrong. So, like, hardware, I mean, we already know about the stuff with the handheld console stuff that's all rumored, and they've said themselves that there's something kind of coming, but we're working on it kind of deal. But
years away.
Yeah, and like they just really need to explore this new direction with moving to other platforms and stuff a lot more. But I think they're really solidly on track with making sure everything works across platforms. Like one of the proudest things that Phil had to say in that other interview that popped up just before that, I can't remember who. It was with Destin. Yeah. Destin. It was with Destin. He said that one of the proudest things, that the first thing that popped up in the showcase that they did was that they said it's available everywhere and there's like cross-play, like across the Game Pass and cross-play and cross stuff. Like just having all of that is really fundamentally like in their mindset. So I think it is going to stick around as long as the Xbox do. So
I want to split this into multiple different questions.
Yeah,
sure.
So like just straight off the bat, I think it's pretty safe to assume that our digital libraries are pretty safe moving forward.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
My main, I say my main concerns, but they're not really like large concerns, would be Xbox losing its brand identity, diversifying. like, for example, you start to focus on cloud, cloud starts to grow. How much more time and resources go into O&D for cloud as opposed to the hardware market?
I agree, but I guess the thing is that like at the end of the day, cloud computers, you still have to build the hardware for the cloud computer to run on, right? Like even if you're not like the marketing dollars change maybe a little bit and the form factor, but the idea is like the technical stuff behind it still has to be the same as what would be in a console, basically, right?
Yeah.
I guess from that, I use hardware as an example, but like you could also think of the user experience. Like we've talked about a new achievement system for how many goddamn years now?
Yeah.
If they're focused on priorities, then that
Yeah.
The other thing too is like the rumors of Steam potentially coming to Xbox. Does that mean developers aren't fixated on developing for the Xbox ecosystem because they can get in through Steam?
Oh, I think we need. Yeah, you keep going.
I was going to say, to finalize that thought is, if I'm a dev and I can just release it on Steam and still get like some, you're still getting some money from Xbox players doing that.
Yeah.
But then essentially I'm locked out of the Xbox ecosystem achievement-wise.
Sure.
Because of the Steam list, that might be off-putting to achievement hunters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the Windows Store with how they tried to put the Amazon Store for games in the Windows Store.
Yeah, you think of like even stuff like, I know in the past me and Matt would have jumped on StarCraft 1 and 2 like in a heartbeat if it had an achievement list, but
it doesn't. Yeah.
We go, all right, that's deprioritized.
Yeah,
and so
100%.
Maybe becomes a reality on the console as well as the PC. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I guess the only concern I have going forward for like Xbox is if pursuing another interest that potentially will grow the business will alienate like hardcore fans essentially.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think? I mean, obviously you've been Xboxing it up with us for years now. Like, what are your thoughts on the future of the console and then kind of Microsoft in general?
I don't think the brand's going anywhere. I think the brand's staying there. They've put too much money into kill or do anything with that. Future consoles, there is still a market, but I don't think there's going to be more than 1 or 2 more generations from Xbox, especially if it's not bringing the revenue back.
That's what it all comes down to at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole diversification into PlayStation and Steam and all of that. The Steam stuff's really interesting though, because they might actually be doing that to avoid regulation, because to get on the phones, they've been fighting Apple and Google for closed ecosystems, where they have their own closed ecosystem. So that could just be keep the regulators happy.
It's a very, very good point.
Based on what
Yeah.
Microsoft has done with the Activision deal, they've said a lot of stuff to keep things moving.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do have one more question related to this article, Tom. So I'm going to put a UK spin on this. So Phil Spencer, snog, marry, or avoid?
Definitely not snog. It'd have to be marry, considering I'm an Xbox person.
I was gonna say, mate, that's keys to the kingdom right there, mate.
What are you
saying?
It
is, yeah. I'm like, I have to go.
You know what? The man looked pretty damn good for like late 50s.
He's doing pretty well for himself. I mean, he's got a lot of money to help with that, I'm sure, but he's doing pretty well.
I think he's lost a little bit of weight based on that Destin video too.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing pretty well. Right. Maybe he's on the Ozempic. You never know.
Actually, they asked him during the interview. They asked their patrons a few questions to put forward, and one of them, like, what is your favorite place to get fast food?
Yeah.
And he basically said, like, they barely do fast food, but I think it was like Wendy's or Taco Bell.
Yeah,
that's fair.
No, sorry, it was pizza. It was pizza.
Oh, pizza. I mean, that's the correct answer. Pizza's fucking delicious.
You just say whatever. Anyway.
All right.
But I guess just to close up the story, basically, like I think there is an interesting future where I guess my question is, how much support are Sony going to give to the Xbox ecosystem moving forward? So if we end up in a future where we don't have an Xbox console anymore, and so we all have to buy PlayStations, I guess, or get on PC to play all these games that we want to play, and they're just third party. You know, how much is that the death of achievement support? Like, is that the thing where it's like they don't do it anymore because PlayStation's like, well, we don't care, and we're not gonna, you know, is it going to be mandatory to sign in with your Xbox ID to play the next Halo on PlayStation? I'd like, again, like, it's not unusual, you know, like Capcom has their own ID, Konami, like every fucking big publisher has their own like ID system they want you to sign into to play their games. Right. They usually offer some sort of incentive, but you know, they weren't console manufacturers outside of Sega, right? So
yeah.
Oh man, there's so many directions this question.
Minecraft Dungeons has the option of signing in your Xbox account.
Sure.
I was gonna say,
and it syncs up and unlocks some of the trophies from your Xbox account.
So I'm wondering, like, Minecraft on Switch obviously has the login.
Yes.
What's the case on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I haven't played Minecraft like itself, but if it's anything like Dungeons, it will be, you actually log in to Microsoft account, like exactly like you would on a browser, but not in a browser. It's contained within the game. So
I bet, like, whenever they do, like, you know, if they're doing like Age of Empires, all these ports, right? They're just going to
right.
Yeah.
Switch would be interesting though if, I don't know, wasn't there something where during the Switch generation they were saying that they might potentially look at achievements?
Yeah, there was something about that, but I don't think it's going to happen. It never actually eventuated.
They focus really heavily on their credit system, like the stuff whether they were doing like the rewards for unlocking stuff, and then you get
Putting this off into the world right now. Switch 2, Xbox, you want to deliver the games for it and all that. If Switch does not have an achievement system, goddamn, implement an achievement system. Let Xbox take the credit for it for those kind of games, similar to how they did Minecraft, and I'll buy a second copy.
Yeah, I would too, actually.
They could do like a specific hub for Xbox within the Switch that has your achievements there that show the Switch exclusive stuff. So you'd have like you could potentially 100% every Xbox game because it would only show like the Switch compatible stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
So
in a perfect world, I would just love Nintendo to be like, hey, Xbox, can you manage our achievement system? And have them join together, but
Microsoft don't have that kind of clout. And Nintendo don't care. Yeah, exactly.
Nintendo don't care. They're getting plenty of sales already. Actually, before I move on from Nintendo, they just shut down the points. Oh, they're shutting down the points. System.
Okay.
Nintendo Go.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize. Interesting. This is a real quick one. Xbox exclusive Everwild is still in progress, apparently.
I believe when I say
exactly, it's vaporware at this point. They showed it off in 2019, just to put that in perspective to everyone. What the fuck is Rare doing these days? I mean, Sea of Thieves stuff, obviously, but
I think Sea of Thieves was one of the best launches on PlayStation.
Yeah.
During last year.
Yeah. But what is Everwild? I guess who knows. If they were going
to why develop a new IP when you can launch the same IP that you already have
out of a cannon? Yeah.
And rake in the money.
It's true.
And piss off some diehard Xbox fans that want to complete your game.
Hey, that's what they're doing. They're trying to fix the achievement for you. Give them some slack.
No,
like Everwild is put on the back burner because Cameron complained about the Sea of Thieves achievements.
All right. Well, okay. I want the over/under. What do you guys think of? What are the chances that we see Everwild this year? Like maybe not a release, but like we see something about it this year, like one of the directs or at Summer Games Fest or something. Kia, what do you think?
I doubt
it. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
That's fair.
So Everwild is never wild.
Tom, what about you?
I would say we've probably gone through from that XO19. I can't remember if Everwild was playable at XO19.
I don't think so.
From memory. I know all the other games they announced that conference were.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we might hear something. I'm gonna be optimistic.
Okay,
we might hear something.
Yeah. Maybe that was a seeded question. Maybe he was like, "Hey, make sure you ask me about Everwild." So I have something to say. And Karen, what about you?
Well, it was a cinematic trailer, wasn't it?
It was a cinematic trailer. We didn't see anything. There was no gameplay or anything. We had no idea what it was. And then the only news we got out was like a year or two ago that it got rebooted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, like, why would you not? You would keep this game in case of drought, essentially. Like, I see this like late next year, 2027 at the earliest.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna go with Tom. I think maybe they'll have something to say about it. Like, otherwise you would just cancel it. You know?
Yep. Yeah. If they had something to say, it would be a showcase, very pretty, like fundamentally different than
I think
we've seen before.
I think so. Yeah, but I think maybe
the problem is they can't clash it with Fable because they've got 2 brick games there, so they're probably trying to pace them out a bit.
Yes, Fable's this year as well, isn't it? Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, like
Yeah, okay.
Man, this year is just loaded.
I picked the wrong fucking year not to buy video games. Fuck.
I'm trying to clear out my backlog, and if I do anything, it's just I'm gonna wait for like Avowed and that to get their guides.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Matt. Yeah. Well, I mean, if it comes to Game Pass, maybe I'll let myself play it. But
yeah.
And then there was the whole thing around Xbox wanting to continue to support story games. So there's been a lot of discussion recently around South of Midnight coming out in a couple months, and the idea that it's a shorter. Like, it's not a live service, there's no multiplayer, it's kind of like a one and done experience. It's got apparently like 8 to 10 hours. And it's the kind of games that kind of don't really get made anymore, like especially not from like AAA studios anymore. And so the idea is that Phil Spencer was talking about how basically like this is kind of the perfect Game Pass kind of thing of like Game Pass. The idea of Game Pass helps support and make and market these kinds of games that would often get overlooked or just because they don't feel like they're great value for money in terms of like cash-strapped consumers.
Yeah, this reminds me of, like, if you just think Netflix with Black Mirror, right?
Yeah.
It's just like everything's individual, it's separate. I mean, like, they release seasons over time and stuff. So not talking episodic. I'm like purely like the content. Every time they release an episode, it was like a banger. It was something different and fresh, and there was something else to say in the background, right? So, and I'm sure Xbox could pull up a whole bunch of small games with some unique concepts like South of Midnight that would actually do very well in that regard. It's like the Netflix model where they've fallen down these days has kind of like still has a place. So
I think like when he was doing this interview, he was essentially saying like not everything has to be a live service game.
Which is which we all know, right?
So like you think if Game Pass had never come to fruition, like what would the state of gaming look like now? Would it just be all live service? And because like single player story games are such a hit and miss kind of,
especially in the Western market. Yeah, maybe we'd probably still see JRPGs and that kind of stuff, but I think from like Western developers for sure it feels like it's just live services. Yeah, it's a very, very good point. He kind of Phil points out in like the dev direct, all of the games were single player games. They're games that have beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was because I don't see every game having some big live service thing. Where its business model is, not every story works that way, but not every game has something that works for a live service, which I think is great to recognize. Like, we all know that, but it's nice to hear that someone who's running a platform and, I guess soon to be third party publisher is being like, this is like, we see the benefit here. We see what we can do with this.
Well, as a third party publisher, all this stuff churning on the Game Pass, you get individual releases from the buzz on other platforms. That's where your money's coming in. So,
Yeah. He's just to finish. He says, I think it's important to part of our industry that not every story is 100 hours long. Not every medium is going to have some sort of mechanic that has a currency and everything. Some people just want to tell their story and move. And some of my favorite games to go back to, like Limbo and stuff, they're fantastic games I want to see continue in the industry. And it's really good to hear that, like, that's kind of that's something that he values, because like those are the kind of games that I enjoy too. I enjoy like well made, condensed, like crafted experiences that I can kind of enjoy and move on with.
Yeah, Tom, you play a lot of mostly single player games, so what kind of stuff do you gravitate towards in terms of like any of that interests you?
Especially considering you've avoided live services.
Yeah, exactly.
I've avoided live services. I've also avoided Microsoft published games. I realized that when I was
Ooh.
looking for this. So I've not played Hellblade, Indiana Jones,
Uh-huh.
Psychonauts. I've not played any of them. And I was like, oh, I'm a bad Xbox person.
I was about to say, well, 2025's here, and there's a whole bunch of them coming out. So
There's an ending list of them. Probably the last one I played was the Outer Worlds, is it? Not
Yeah, Outer Worlds.
Wilds. Yeah, Outer Worlds. Because I love an Obsidian game.
Yeah.
For me, it's the mechanics, I think, because I gear towards the RPG mechanics rather than your action adventure platformy type mechanics. So yeah, I'm all for more single player games. The problem is, I say that, but I never play them.
Sure. It's good for the industry, though, even if you don't play them yourself, right? You can still recognize that. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'm the problem.
Yeah, but I totally agree. I think that it's great to hear that, you know, he kind of talks about like Double Fine and that kind of stuff. Like, I'd love to see what the next Psychonauts is. Psychonauts, look, they need to do a remake of the first game. Like, anyway.
I mean, Double Fine's working on something.
100%. Yeah, we just don't know what it is yet. And then this is the last news story here about AI. Cameron, you want to jump into that one?
Yeah, so this one was interesting. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but essentially Xbox is utilizing a generative AI model for the preservation of classic video games. So they made on Wednesday they announced a thing called Muse, which is generative AI model that can create game visuals, control actions, or both. And it came from using training data from Ninja Theory's 2020 Bleeding Edge.
Gee, that's a game I haven't thought about in a long time. Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, which I was like, very, like, okay, cool. We've got some use out of that game. Great. No, it was
poor Ninja Theory. Yeah.
Yeah, passport. But basically they go on to say that this AI could be used to essentially like port older games to, like, in terms of compatibility issues.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Interesting.
So like using AI for good and opening the door for like game preservation.
And just, you know, cutting out all the people who would have been paid to port that game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Today, countless classic games tied to aging hardware are no longer playable by most people. Thanks to this breakthrough, we are exploring the potential for Muse to take older back catalog games from our studios and optimize them for any device. We believe this could radically change how we preserve and experience classic games in the future and make them accessible to more players. To imagine that beloved games lost to time and hardware advancement could one day be played on any screen with Xbox is an exciting possibility for us.
It's a really smart idea that I hadn't even considered, but it makes perfect sense. There are so many games, like if Microsoft in particular becomes Muse becomes the default like porting system to get things running on everything, especially older stuff. That could be a whole new market for Microsoft. Like,
yeah, well, what's that game platform that they released the achievements for?
Which one?
That had the games. It had like a bunch of games, and I don't know. I can't remember. It's on Xbox, and they released achievements for it, and it's like the hub or whatever that had old classic games on it.
Was it the arcade one?
Yeah, it was the arcade one. I'm pretty sure.
So Game Room.
By every cabinet.
Game Room, yeah.
Oh no! That was all. I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Yeah, okay.
But it was basically. Sorry.
I thought you were going to mention GOG with like game preservation and stuff like that.
No, GOG would be a good one though. That would be a good.
Because like GOG doing that with the DRM free stuff.
Yeah.
Of the classics.
Was it retro something? It's not retro, obviously, but retro, or it's like some hub of a lot of games or something. Yeah.
But yeah, like
when we.
But this it sounds like it could be a brand new market for like a lot of this old stuff running on Xboxes without having to get a porting team in. Because again, like most of these games are not going to sell many, if all, right? Like but in terms of preservation, it's really cool to be able to have these games still accessible.
Going back to your thing about like this potentially cutting jobs, this could potentially create jobs at the same time, because I think they would be more open to explore that opportunity of like, hey, can we get a port of this?
It is, to be fair, it's the kind of stuff that would get ported is stuff that they never would have paid money to port in the first place, right? It just wouldn't be financially viable.
Antstream.
Antstream?
Antstream. Yeah.
Oh, okay, never heard of it.
Antstream Arcade has a bunch of achievements. Antstream is these 1,400 plus games are included with Antstream Arcade on Xbox, which is like Space Invaders, Gunbird, like.
But it's essentially treated as a game, right?
It's treated as its own game, like because it's like play X amount of games. You know, the achievement list is like played 1 game session, played 250 game sessions, won 1 multiplayer challenge. Like, and there's only like 10 achievements.
Yeah, there's 10 achievements. You have 50.
But the actual arcade itself, like it's a whole, it was basically like a hub for a retro gaming collection. And then you pay the subscription to Antstream to have access to those games.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is the first time hearing about it. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we discussed it back on the podcast.
At some point.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, July 2023. It's been a while.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean, there are ways to do it, but that's obviously a hub and like going back to the paid services within Xbox ecosystem, that kind of is one. So you know, New Zealand story. Jeez. Yeah. So.
All right, well, let's move on to Game Pass updates. So we had Avowed join this week, and we also had F1 24 and Warhammer Rogue Trader join on the 20th, which is yesterday. And we've got Watchdog Legion joining on the 25th. And that's pretty much it. A little bit of a quieter month. These are all coming to Ultimate, so these are new. There is some talk that apparently there will be some more announcements at the Indie Showcase at the end of the month. So there's probably a couple of things they've left off the list.
24th.
24th, yes. Okay, cool.
So
Yeah.
25th for us.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a few indie developers of that one, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, really hoping we get some like shadow drops and some other bits and pieces. It'd be really cool to see some of those really cool indie games, because that's, in my opinion, what makes Game Pass great. And then in terms of what's leaving, Yakuza 3 and 4 remastered, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, Maneater, Gree, Space Engineers, and Paw Patrol World. A lot of easy completions in there. Gree is pretty straightforward. Maneater is pretty easy. Paw Patrol World is very easy. Bolt Gun's straightforward. Wolong is definitely a tougher completion, but I've finished it, so that means I'm pretty sure most people can. It's got a few DLCs, and then the Yakuza games obviously are big investments.
That's the second time Maneater's leaving Game Pass.
Yes, I was just thinking that actually. Yeah, it is, because it came back for a bit, and now it's leaving again. So if you missed
We're
it,
seeing a couple of those second time leaving ones.
if you missed it, now's a good time to get on it, because Maneater's great.
We've had Yakuza games leave in the past and come back. Yakuza 3 and 4, this is the first time they're leaving.
Yeah.
So
I guess it could be a bit.
Pick them up on a sale.
Yeah, I need to get back to Yakuza, but I just don't know where I'll find the time. Patreon, patreon.com/HallofGamers. If you don't know what that is, basically it is a way to help support the show. We put the money straight back into it. Any extra content that we do, which I'll admit has not been a lot recently because we've been quite busy, goes straight on there. Any kind of outtakes or extra podcasts. We are throwing around some ideas about maybe doing some deep dives with community members and stuff like that, so we'll see how it goes. But a huge thank you to Lee Howard, McCall KV, Tolinator, Mad Lefty, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavalier 07, Old Mate Clown, Mace J, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. We literally could not afford to do the show without you guys, because the bills for everything come straight out of my bank account. So thank you all so much for your support. And then we've our Bimestral Burden, which is our themed month where we basically go, okay, yep, let's play some games. Let's get a theme together. So we're finishing up January and February with Back in My Day, finishing up your remasters, your remakes, and your retro achievements. Like I said the other week, this is mainly because Jake was complaining that he didn't get a good opportunity to play his retro games. I gave him the opportunity, and he didn't fucking play them. So he's going to have to
until
wait.
Recently.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Yeah, but he has been playing Final Fantasy, so I guess that counts.
And Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. That's true. Tomb Raider is a very good shout. But we do have a new one, again, because the next episode won't be out for everyone until until next month. So March and April's theme is Bringing Out Your Dead. So it's time to play all those zombie games, ghost games, vampire games, anything with the undead. That's what we're all talking about. I'd be very curious to see what interpretations people come up with. You can post your completions and talk about what you've been playing and what you're interested in, what you're thinking about. I want to hear some perspective lists on the Discord. So feel free to join. Come say hi. Usual business. If you don't know what a Discord is, I can't help you.
I've got 2 already.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't got around to starting Bloodstained.
Bloodstained. Okay, Bloodstained is a really good one. Yep, that's a great choice.
So my 3 at the moment contenders are Bloodstained, Ritual, Vampire.
Oh, Vampire. Yep.
Oh, it always interests me, and I just never go back to it.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
You mean?
Okay, sorry. Zombie Army Trilogy.
Yes, I was like Zombie Army Trilogy. Okay, that makes more sense.
Sorry, I will go back and play the 1 level in Wolfenstein.
Yeah, you can play in Wolfenstein.
I wrote Youngblood. I meant what is it?
Old
Blood.
Old Blood. Yeah, that 1 level with the Nazi zombies. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
I don't know, Tom. You got any ideas for any games you're thinking about that have ghosts and ghoulies?
I've got the DLC for Dead Island 2 to play, so that's
perfect. Yep.
Top of the list.
Yep. Great.
And then always wanted to get back to, I forgot the name of the game. It was Tango, I believe.
Oh, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
Which I'd like to get back to.
That's a great choice. Yeah.
That would be, yeah.
Keo, anything for you?
Well, I was looking at some of the Castlevania stuff for January and February, but I decided to, when we were talking about this, kind of leave it for March and April. And funny enough, I've busted out my arcade stick with a 360, and I've been using it for a couple of side scrollers, and I'm like, I'm 100% doing that with the Castlevania games.
Hell yeah!
So, yeah,
when
really
did
good.
Dark Ages come out?
Dark Ages comes out in May, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to quite hit it.
Doom Eternal. I'll add it to the list.
Doom Eternal is what I'm thinking. I might do Doom Eternal. I got 1 achievement left in the base game, and then I got all the DLC to do. So, yeah, that's probably going to be the one for me.
Or you could just play dead games.
I'm playing games
online multiplayer games that don't have communities anymore.
I'm playing games that make me wish I was dead at the moment, which we'll hear about just in a minute. But yeah, I'm kind of going through my list. I've got like Dead Rising 2 on there. I'm thinking about maybe doing. I could do some Nazi zombies and World at War. Yeah, there's a few in there, but
and I'm sure there's a few characters that have been rebirthed, you could say, as well, that you can maybe have a look at.
Yeah,
in terms of undead. So,
but yeah, that's our theme for March and April. So get your lists together, and we'll start on the 1st. And now let's get into what we've been playing. You know what, Tom? I'm going to start with you because you've got several years to talk about here, but maybe let's restrict it for maybe the last couple of weeks. What are you been up to?
Yes. So what I've been up to. So my main game I'm playing at the moment, Metaphor Refang.
Ah, yes.
Amazing. So I'm about 20 to 25 hours in.
So you just finished the tutorial, basically.
Week. I've done the tutorial. I'm on the 2nd dungeon.
Okay.
The 2nd big dungeon.
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers. It's still quite new.
Yeah.
Well, still new. So yeah, really enjoying that. It's got all the Persona vibes. It's slightly too Persona-y, I think. I think they could have branched out a little bit more.
Sure, I can understand that.
But that might change as the game progresses. It's still a bit too early to judge it all.
It very much leans on its DNA in terms of like its structure and everything. I think it's I think it changes a little bit as it opens up, but I definitely get what you're saying. It is very Persona coded.
When you awaken to your powers, which is what happens, it uses the same voice actor as they do in Persona.
Yeah.
It's like they've used the same voice actors for the same bit.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a Persona game. Which is really good. I am really enjoying it. That's going to take me a good few weeks to finish off. So that's my current solo game. I'm in co-op land, so I play with a few people co-op games. I've got Ghost Recon Breakpoint on the go at the moment.
Nice.
So just finished the main story for that. I just need to do the mop up on the achievements. I probably agree with all the criticism of when that game came out. It came out as a survival game. Now you walk around with a water canister which you can fill up, but you can't actually. It doesn't really do anything. They've kind of stripped off all the survival mechanics, and kind of now it doesn't know what it is.
Right. Did you play Wildlands before this?
I played Wildlands before, and I'd say Wildlands is probably 10 times better. Because at least Wildlands has a story you can follow. You kind of feel it, whereas Breakpoint, I'm like, it just feels lost. And I think that's the same with a lot of the Ubisoft games at the moment. But it's been fun. I mean, there's nothing like with a mate flying in with a helicopter, dropping out and killing some people, flying back off. You're never going to beat that.
Sure.
But yeah, it just feels like it's missing something. And then on the other side of the co-op side, I'm playing Overcooked All You Can Eat Edition. So I've completed the first 2 games. So this is just nice, easy, and quick. You don't have to freestyle everything. You can just run through. I also picked up Orcs Must Die Death Traps. That just hit Games Pass.
Oh yes. Yep.
Okay.
I just want to ask about Overcooked. Are you doing solo or are you doing in a group?
Co-op. I've always played Overcooked co-op. Yeah, and all looks
so much easier to do.
Is that local co-op or online co-op?
So my setup is I have 2 TVs down in the lounge and 2 consoles, and we just play online, but in the same room.
That's perfect. That's such a good way to do it.
Yes, and then everyone who's not a gamer looks at me why I have a TV on like a trolley like from school where you can wheel it around the rooms.
That's amazing.
Everyone thought, when I first got it, everyone was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is a great idea."
That's amazing.
Half of my gaming setup is basically built out of one of those little kitchen islands you can get that have several drawers and like platforms. And that is where one of my monitors sit. It used to be where I used to put all my cables into and cable tidy. It's still part of my setup, and they're really, really handy. So props to that. It's such a good. I love the ad hoc system. So
yeah, it's the same way I've been playing Breakpoint. It's literally me and a mate on a couch, and we can coordinate in person. It's different experience online.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, so All Orcs Must Die is probably the last one I started. It's a tower defense game. I really enjoyed Van Helsing Death Trap when that was in Games Pass a good few years ago.
Oh yeah, yep.
So we put 100 plus hours into that to get that completion. So it's kind of scratching that itch. It's unlike the other games, it's roguelite, so you start from round 1 each time and you work your way up to round 10. And then you have to gamble your winnings in between each kind of level. So between level 1 and 2, you have to gamble half of what you've earned to progress. And the basically makes level 2 harder. And the same at level 2, you have to gamble half of all of your earnings from 1 and 2. So there's a bit of a risk on there. Looks interesting. It's another really not short completion. I think it's 80 hours on TA.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Going, oof, okay, maybe not.
I really should look at these completion times before I play games. That's what I've learned.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll hurt yourself. You won't play the games, and you just got to enjoy them a little bit, I think. So.
You do. So that's about the 5-6 games I'm playing at the moment.
Are you gonna pick up Assassin's Creed Shadows when it comes out?
I've got Ubisoft Plus subscription, so I'll play that as soon as it comes out.
Nice.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm already ready for that one. And then Yakuza Like a Pirate. I'm right on the edge. I think I might just wait till payday. I've got 4 more days, and then I'll probably dive into that.
Right.
They probably should have just called it that, Like a Pirate.
That's pretty much what it is.
I think it's much better name, actually.
And a pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Yeah.
This is
I'm going to stick with Like a Pirate.
Like a Pirate works great. I will go through my games pretty quickly because there is not a lot of note here. So we finished up Redfall. So myself and Cameron and Snoopy all finished it. Thank you to Kia for help. Fuck me, that game was like pulling teeth. Holy shit. Getting that game to work when that game worked and the achievements weren't being buggy and things weren't falling over, that game was fine.
Yep.
But there's so many technical issues with that game that it was an absolute slog to play.
First area is fine. Like, first area is like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, I think we had one issue.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's like just a fine game. Like, if the rest of the game was like that, I think we would have left it and been like, yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I would have given like a 6. Yeah.
And I had some cloud streaming issues, and turns out I can't accept the Xbox invites. I had to accept the in-game invite to actually play when I was cloud streaming. So I had to install the damn game again.
Yeah.
You know what? If it was just the first area, it would have been such a better experience.
I don't know. I mean, like, I wasn't super. Like, I had a fine time with it, but the only reason I enjoyed it is because I was playing it with you guys. If I was playing it on my own, this would have been. I would have hated it. It was because it would have been boring as fuck. So yes,
I'm glad we all got it done.
Yes, I'm glad we got it done. That was the main thing. So a huge thank you to you guys for helping out with that. And so I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I am on a quest to clean up my Xbox. So I have a backlog of games that I've started, and there's about 180 of them that I need to finish. But I also have another backlog of games that I haven't started or touched. About 100 of those, I think. And so I made a new group on my Xbox, and I just I went through my whole list. So when I finish things, I tend to hide them. So the only things I see are things that I need to play. And so I've now made a list of things that I need to play and things that I've already started. And so I was like, okay, I need to make a dent in this game list of stuff that I go through my scroll every time. I've never even played these games, never installed them, never even loaded them up. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to grab a few of these. I'm going to download them, and we're going to see what happens. And so the first one I did was I Hope, which is an absolutely terrible combat platformer. I feel bad about it because I know that they're donating like the money that it was like, I think it was like a game jam, or like it's a very like small project, and all the money it made was getting donated to cancer research and that kind of stuff. And the whole thing is that you were fighting cancer, and it's like the game itself is fucking awful. The combat is terrible, the platforming is bad, the story is really, really trite, the level design is just bad. I mean, it's short at least. And the other thing is the achievements are terrible. There's an achievement for taking no damage in a level, which is very annoying. And there's also an achievement for not dying the entire game. Now, you can save scum the not dying thing by deleting your local save and stuff. I had to run through the game twice, and I did not have a single good time playing through this game. It is an absolute piece of trash, unfortunately. And so I decided to top that off by playing Purple Chicken Spaceman, which is a equally bad side-scrolling shooter where you are a purple chicken flying through space, flying through clip art space while reskinned enemies fly towards you and shoot bullets, and they're really annoying to dodge.
Wasn't this the game that you had to essentially not kill a single enemy because it would crash?
Oh no, that was I Hope. That was the one I was playing. That was
I Hope.
That was I Hope.
Yeah, well there you go. That was another thing.
Another problem with it. Yeah. so this one basically is. Yeah, it's a side-scrolling shooter. It is overly difficult because it's poorly designed. You basically have to kill a number of enemies, fight a boss. The bosses are mostly reskinned. There's like 3 different boss types. They're also like they have massive attacks, and like you take one hit and you die. But the saving grace of this game is that every time you pick a power-up, your power-ups are persistent. So as long as you pick them up, and if you die, you get to keep them for your next run. So you can essentially just grind out power-ups and then just put a shield on for the entire level. I mean, it's not fun, and you're going to be there for ages doing it. And you also need to play through the game twice for no reason, just because they add an achievement for it. Where it's like, hey, you finished the whole game, do it again. The final level is also a boss rush, so you got to fight like 8 bosses back to back, and you got to have like 70 shields if you're bad at the game or whatever. Anyway, it's fucking awful. I'm nearly finished my first playthrough, but I'm taking it slow because it's like bashing my head against a wall. Another one that I played is Vala, which I think a lot of people have from Games with Gold. Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse. You drive it's a twin-stick roguelite. You drive a mech around and you shoot llamas while an announcer makes really bad llama puns over and over again. To be fair, though, some of them are pretty funny. But, the game is kind of overly difficult in terms of, like, its balancing. It's one of those kind of roguelites where you don't get stat upgrades or anything. It's just you get new chances to get new weapons and new abilities. So you got to do challenges. Every time you use a weapon, if you get enough kills with a single weapon, it unlocks the ability to find the upgraded version of it. So it's like you get a pistol, which then allows you to get a machine gun, which then allows you to get a shotgun, which then allows you to, I think, get like a minigun or whatever. Or yeah, something like it's like a lance gun and then like a minigun. And there's like a rocket launcher, and again, it's like very traditional stuff, but it is essentially just like swarms. They just replaced the zombies with llamas, and it's just llama puns. And there's a really cringy FMV story thing. They've kind of couple of cutscenes there. It's very self-referential and meme humor, and it's like it's. I mean, it was games with golds or whatever. The main problem with it is that it has an achievement for killing the entire population of US and Canada llamas. So I think you have to get 160,000 kills. So is a
imagine that being updated in real time.
That would be really fucking
it being half of that.
Yeah, exactly.
This like 10 years later.
You're just waiting for foot and mouth to come and just wipe out the entire population.
It's Metal Gear Solid 3 all over again, exactly. Waiting for old mate to die.
Yeah. It's fine. It also has like local co-op, so you can kind of have other controllers jump in and help you out and stuff. And like I laughed a couple of times at the jokes, but it is very memey. This is going to be another one of those that I'll just put some time to. I've got like 3 achievements left. One of them is for causing like $1 billion worth of damage. One's for killing all those llamas. Then one's for specifically destroying. It says 200, but I think the achievement is actually 20. They just mistyped. Destroying 20 magazine stands, like you'd see in cities. And they're also like, they just don't spawn all that often. I think I found like 5 of them. So I'm just like playing the first level over and over again. It's very, very dull. The one good thing that I played this week is a Lacuna, a sci-fi noir story. This game is fucking cool. It is literally what it says on the tin. You are a smoking, like, divorced guy who works for the like Department of Investigations. There's 3 planets. It's like kind of like Blade Runner-esque sort of thing going on where there's a planet that got colonized, now wants independence, and they've sent a dignitary over, and then you basically go to bed, you wake up, you get a call in the middle of the night, dignitary's been shot in the head, he's been assassinated, kicks off a whole thing. You're trying to figure out like who assassinated him, why, what the fuck's going on, who's involved, who's dirty. Like it's a classic noir story with some really fun sci-fi interesting kicks to it. Side-scrolling investigation game. You kind of do the detective thing where they give you the clues and you got to basically put the things in the right order and you can submit the cases like completely wrong and fuck it up. Very few people have played this game. I don't think it was a huge success by any means, but it's really, really cool. The biggest problem with it is that you have to play through it 8 times. There are 8 different endings. They're not that different, which is kind of fucking annoying, and you can't save scum it. You got to play it from the beginning to end because it saves on a meta profile, not on your save file, which is a real fucking slog. There's no manual saves either. Thankfully you can, like, once you know how the game works, you blitz through it in like an hour or 2. So I think it took me like 15 hours to do all 8 playthroughs. There is one interesting achievement called Shortcuts, where instead of having a speedrun timer, it's a step counter. So you basically want to try and get through the game in less than 5,000 steps. And so that usually means fucking up every single case so that you basically don't find the additional clues or have the additional conversations or go to the additional locations and just get like the worst result, which was kind of fun to do. And it is also the fastest way to get through the game, so you can kind of do that for your other playthroughs. Again, I don't think anyone's played this game. I think I was like the 10th person to complete this game on TA. I recommend checking out. I think they have one other game that they put out like last year maybe that I'm thinking about checking out if it's kind of anything like this. But this kind of thing is like right up my alley in terms of like weird, interesting kind of story is everything in this game.
Is the other one Between Horizons?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
I'm having a look at their Steam page now. It's like so interesting how they marketed. Like they've done Hungry for point click adventure, but point and click is like strike through.
Yeah.
And they're like strike through, like pointing, clicking, like no, this is a platform movement controls. Just interesting how they marketed it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I think that, yeah, like if you have kind of any interest in those kinds of games, if you want to just blitz through it, you can use the guide. There's Neoseeker has a guide, but you have to play through it 8 times, so you might as well just do like a blind playthrough and just fuck things up because you got plenty of opportunities to kind of clean up afterwards.
I like the idea of fucking up as quickly as possible and
just being the absolute fucking worst. But yeah, and it has all the tropes too. It's like he's like, is he going to rekindle things with his ex-wife? Like he has a daughter. His daughter is like 14 and like rebelling. And it's like, what does he do there? And he's like, and there's also like a thing where it's like you just like they've removed the harmful carcinogens from cigarettes because it's the future, but also they're still addictive. So they get these things where it's like you just have a thing where you can go up to a vista and just smoke, and it shows you like a really nice panorama, like art piece that they've done of just you standing there with a fucking cigarette looking at this amazing cool city. I was really, really impressed with it actually. I was a bit worried going in because again, not a lot of people have played it, but yeah, definitely recommend it. But yeah, that's me this week. I'm kind of trying to, I've got like 10 other games that I'm probably going to start and I'll have to complain about next week. I started Chris Tales today. I'll talk about that next week and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Keo.
Some of the stuff that I have played have crossed over with Cameron, so we can kind of await to touch on those when he talks about them. Probably the only couple of things that I've started that are really different is I, for whatever reason, decided that the only thing I wanted to do with Goat Simulator was load up and do the Flappy Goat.
Get Flappy Goat out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, just load them up, get Flappy Goat out of the way. I haven't got the PC version, the original version that still includes it, but the 360 version, it took me like a good few hours of just kind of like getting it right. And then the next morning I woke up, I'm like, right, I'll load up the Xbox One version and do that. And then it took me like half an hour.
Yeah.
But it was
2014 Krill.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so I did download Flappy Bird when it was originally around, but
they took it out of the remaster, so you don't have to do it. So there is that.
Yeah. And other than that, I've just been working. Yeah.
I was gonna say the whole thing of Flappy Bird too is that it came back as a
crypto fucking NFT game or whatever.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Nothing to do with the original creator.
Of course.
Yes, okay. And the other thing I've been doing is that for our theme, I loaded up DuckTales Remastered.
Woo.
This game, it's so, it's what you would call
unfair bullshit. Guess, really fucking annoying.
I knew you were gonna say that. It is what you would actually call a remake these days.
Sure.
Like the voice acting, the 3D, the added little bits and stuff like that. There's so much that went into this that they called it a remaster. Like probably the only thing is like the music's wildly the same except for like the updates with it, and the map layout is pretty similar as well. I don't think they changed really any of that, but everything else in the game is updated. Like all the voice acting, it's really, really nice actually. And it inspired me to bust out my old Xbox 360 fight stick. And I've started playing my platformers with the classic fight stick, like just like the joystick and the two buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm like, as I was saying, when it comes to Castlevania and stuff, if I can just use like a couple of buttons and the joystick on this fight stick to play some of those earlier ones, it's going to be so good. So I had so much fun that I'm basically on the last level of the game because I haven't finished it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to do the whole level without dying, essentially, like losing your lives. And I get up to the boss at the end, and I defeat the boss just fine, and I can do the platforming at the end. Anyone that knows the game, you defeat the boss and you have to race basically your character up to get to an item before they get the item. But then after that, you have to run away from lava rising. And that's been a bit much with the old fight stick. So I've had to pull out the controller just to kind of like make sure my controls are refined enough that I don't make stupid mistakes with like one life left. So that's where I'm at before we started some of the games that we're doing. I've been playing a bit of that and trying, because it's really, really quick to get through the levels if you know what you're doing. And It's that and the original DuckTales I played on the NES, and I still have the Game Boy original version as well, and which is basically exactly the same. But then like they had that Ghostbusters 2, which was really really good on the on the NES as well. Like that was the other game that these two games were the games that I went to. Which if you played the Game Boy version of that, which I still have, it's actually different than the Nintendo version. So yeah. But I mean, yeah, some of these old games I'm really gravitating towards at the moment. So yeah. Yeah, that's probably about it in terms of the different stuff that I've been doing. But yeah, loving the old classics. So
playing together then.
Yep.
Talk about your week after I've twisted it so many times this week.
Yeah, well, I mean, after subjecting myself to Red Bull, I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to join in, make this easier for you.
Which we very much appreciate.
I've ventured these lands before. You'll need help.
Yeah. And then the other day I turned around with and said, hey, Cameron, is there anything that you need help with today? And he's like, Redfall? ? I'm like, okay.
I wasn't sure if you meant like Redfall or something else. Like if you're just saying you want to play something. It was a genuine question.
To be fair, it was my birthday and I just wanted company. So I'm just like, is anybody? My wife has gone to work. And then she came home sick. So I still just continued to play Redfall with Cameron. So
25.
No. I made them play a guessing game at work today, and it's 39 is actually the right number. Believe it or not.
Again, I don't believe it. Every time you say it, Kia, I do not believe it. 39 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yes, what else have you guys been working on together?
I just want to quickly touch base on that because Matt was eating pizza at the very start of it, and Kia earlier in the week when he was helping me at Redfall was teasing me with his satay chicken pizza.
Yep, there's this local restaurant that does a satay chicken pizza with satay chicken, but also satay on the base.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And then and it's the best pizza I've ever tasted. Like I absolutely love this pizza. It also has, much to some people's dismay, mushrooms and pineapple.
Okay, mushrooms I can get behind, but pineapple.
Yeah. The pineapple is the sweetness that counters the satay, and it is fantastic.
All right. So, you know what? It was your birthday. I'll give you a pass.
Pineapple is fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Pineapple is fine.
Can we get back to video games, guys?
Let's get back to it.
Pizza is the perfect part. Cool. So we talked about Redfall. That's fine. Me and Kia are also doing Rogue Company. Because for the longest time, the last two achievements I needed was playing a party for 25 hours and win 100 matches. So we just knocked that out. Well, I knocked that out during this week.
Yeah.
Because I was about 80%, 70%. Adrian twisted my arm first to do some of it because they've been trying to AFK do it with Ranger. And then each morning I just woke up and just went like, all right, I'll do a few hours of it. Got that out of the way. I'm doing a lot of like, I guess the live service kind of like Rogue Company's 5 years old. It doesn't feel
that's weird to think about. Yeah.
I was quite happy to jump on this game because I'd only done the tutorial, but I'd unlocked an achievement.
See, I haven't played it yet, and I've been umming and ahhing about it. And I don't know, maybe we'll
pretty
see.
straightforward.
I was gonna say the problem with this game is it's so front heavy.
Yeah.
Like you can easily unlock everything but 3 achievements in an hour or 2.
Sure.
Yeah, and then you're left with 25 hours in a party just to get the last achievements. But there's a problem with this. We found out because we had Todd join us, and that was fine. But when Zach wanted to join us from his Xbox, his Cyberpunk Xbox console, his Xbox One X, turns out Xbox One parties can't join with Xbox Series parties.
In the game, interesting.
In the game. So where you have to be in a party, so an in-game party in the game, for whatever reason, it has a cross-play button that you can toggle on or off, and you can't join Xbox Series gamers in a party with an Xbox One party.
Oh, okay.
ridiculous, kind of. And now I'm kind of stuck in this place where I'm like, I have a Series X console, I have an Xbox One console, I still need to do the series stuff with Todd. We're like 5 hours into the 25 hours.
Yeah.
But there's only going to be one person that's probably going to load up an Xbox One console to play with Zach.
I mean, like, to be fair, it's a free-to-play game, right? Anyone could load up. Like, a lot of people still have Xbox Ones.
Yeah. So it's just one of those really weird things. So,
right. What else are you playing?
The other thing I was gonna say it's a high-res game too. So after we did Divine Knockout last Friday, so Divine Knockout servers, I believe, shut down today.
No, a couple of days ago.
There was some regional stuff where the American ones shut down at a different time than European, and
yeah, because I got the alert that they made them unobtainable.
Yeah. So some of them were available
2 days ago. Yeah.
So yeah, me and Matt knocked that out last week. That was pretty easy. Yeah, pretty easy going.
Yeah, it was a bit glitchy, but it worked.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just noticing the high-res games, and I've got all the stuff that's closed down already. In terms of other stuff that's closing down, I did Multiverses last weekend. I set up my Xbox and my monitor in front of my big TV in the lounge room. And I've got a really nice big couch that folds out into, like, essentially a bed kind of thing. So me and the girls just watched, like, kids' movies whilst I was using both profiles and just getting Nikita's to just jump off the edge 500 times. So I did that stuff, and then at the same time I got Zach to join in because there's an achievement for double ring outs, getting 100 of them. I did one double ring out, and then all of them popped all at the same time. So that probably saved me a few hours.
Yep, he actually had that in a party as well, so he joined a session and that happened to him too. It's very lucky that that's unlucky for some people. So
I believe that's closing down in May, but there should be still an offline mode where you should be able to get majority, if not all, of the achievements. You've just got to log in during season 5. Is the only
okay.
That. Otherwise, the offline would work. Yeah, so did Multiverses. I was surprised how quick it went, actually. Custom match is definitely the way to go. Talked about Divine, talked about Red Company, talked about Multiverses. So I've been knocking out a lot of online stuff. Golf Club closes down on the 28th of Feb. I've been working working mostly number 1 the other day. There is an achievement for doing 100 user-generated courses, but you can just look up 100 in search, and then it's about 60% of them are just like, centimeters away from
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, it took me probably like 2 to 3 hours getting that done. So I did that early in the morning. So I was watching the news. Mortal Kombat 1, Matt told us about the time battles being available. So I am down to the 1 achievement in that, which is the cameo grind, and I also jumped on that.
Yeah, I, from my experience with Mortal Kombat 10, knowing the limitations of having those kind of Titan characters available through like really limited windows, and then waiting months and months and months for one to actually be turned on. I'm like, yeah, if the invasion stuff's in Mortal Kombat 1, I want to grab it. I went and picked it up at the local store that had it secondhand, pretty cheap, and basically played the entirety of the invasion mode. Got all the achievements in that. Everything without the cameo grinding and stuff like that. And then beat the Titan. I managed to get the Titan done at level 9 with about, I think, 170 attack power or something. Or maybe it's like 70 attack power. I think it was 75 attack power. So it was still quite low, but I managed to get that done. So, but yeah, actually quite enjoyed Mortal Kombat. It's been a while since I've done one of those. So
yeah, I'm not usually into fighting games, but then I did Mortal Kombat. I got really hooked on it last weekend, and then that got me. Sorry, not last weekend, the weekend before.
Yeah.
And then that got me really hooked into getting Multiverses done. I mean, different levels of fighting game, but at the same time, I kind of just want to do Mortal Kombat games now.
There's a decent amount of them.
Moving on from that, I did a little bit of Sniper Elite Resistance. I'm still trying to get the Chapter 4 to work for me because it keeps on crashing my game, but there's an update on PC that Corey told me about yesterday, so I'm going to try that after the episode, and hopefully the save file isn't... Like, it's not corrupted, but it's just that... So I might have to do majority of the other achievements and then just go through and do an authentic full campaign run. And then the two main games I've been playing this week is Splitgate, which my last achievement up to 92%. So I've got probably another 80 to 100 more matches to win. And the last one is Grid Legends, which I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying.
Are you enjoying? I don't know. Every time you talk about it, it just sounds like a huge fucking pain.
The sponsors achievements are the main issue. Everything else is like complete this track using this like setup, and it takes 5 seconds to set up.
Sure.
Career mode definitely takes the longer. They're also got to worry about sponsors and.
Yeah.
Like if I can get Grid Legends finished in a month, I'm happy.
Yeah, you actually missed one there. We've both been doing Bolt Gun as well.
Oh yeah, and Bolt Gun.
So because I can talk about this one too.
Yeah.
So. This game has accessibility settings, and you can put on infinite ammo or weapons and invincibility.
Yep.
And there's no reason to play the game without it. Basically, this game has. I'm not really digging it. I know where they tried to overdo the game with what they tried to do, and the game is mostly they're very simple achievement-wise. Complete the game on the hardest difficulty. The DLCs like do the horde mode, but it's like find every secret in the episodes. And the first episode has like 48 secrets, and the levels are so huge. One of the problems with the levels is that the areas where you fight all of the enemies, there are too many enemies. And then the corridor kind of sections where you can have like one enemy left or something gets lost in the corridors. And they're kind of like, some of these places are like overlapping areas where you can get to other, like the same area from multiple areas in that little section. But like, I ran around for like 2-3 minutes, maybe a bit longer than that, trying to find one enemy. Even just based on the sound I could hear, trying to get the right direction right. And it was really, really weird. I'm not quite having as much fun with the game as I thought I would with a game like this. So,
I think the game design is fine. It's more so the achievement. Like
totally.
This is forcing me to treat this as a guide game.
Yes, exactly.
Turn my brain off, mindless violence.
Yep.
Kind of Doom clone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's how I felt too, unfortunately.
The first thing I did was horde mode because all I had to sit there was just turn my brain off and kill things.
Yep.
Yep.
I will say though, having I want to give a shout out to. I'm trying to think what their name is. Just trying to find it quickly. No, I don't know if it's credits.
Yeah, I enjoyed Bolt Gun quite a bit, but I had that same problem, right? Whereas, like, by the time I was like in the 3rd chapter, I was like, oh, man, having to follow a guide for the collectibles is a huge pain.
Yeah.
And because most of the collectible guides weren't amazing, they just kind of show you a zone, and because the mapping was kind of weird, there was a few times where I was like, oh, I've already gone past that area, or I've missed it, or I didn't see it the same way they did, so I've gone on the wrong direction. It's
So I guess once I followed the guide to get all of the secrets in the level, I just enjoyed the rest of the mission just by playing it as I would normally any other game. But I'm like, I'm not missing a single thing in this because I don't want to play this level again kind of vibe. So, because they're just so long, some of them. So,
So I originally started the DLC first because I thought I'll do horde mode, I'll go into DLC, clear that, and I'll just do base game. The guide for the DLC is much the ones listed on TA is much different to the other ones in the base game. And as soon as I swapped off the DLC to the chapter 1, I was having so much, like, I've just basically gone mindset. I'm going to do a chapter a day and then complete it that way, rather than oversaturate myself. But Games Guide's channel, which is the one that loads up with the like orange cat at the very start of it, their guides I find are pretty much like one of the best guide creators, because they'll go through the entire, like, they will cut the level as if you're going like secret to secret.
Yeah.
Whereas in other guide creators will go like, here's a cut section. I don't know how I got from A to B.
Yeah. And the good thing about that as well is that you can clearly see that they've stopped at the secret and then killed all of the enemies in the area, so you didn't have to watch that and then cut back to where they've killed all the enemies. So it goes from like clean screen to blood everywhere because
It's full of cuts, but like how it's edited together is so
very
perfect that you can chuck invincibility on, and the only times I'm getting blocked are essentially if you have to kill all enemies in an area to proceed.
Yeah.
So I think like the main game are enjoyable. I hope that they have one for the DLC when I go back to it. Because the switches in the DLC are annoying as crap.
Yes, they are. They're very annoying. All right.
That's me.
That sounds like everything. That's quite a few games, guys. We've been pretty busy, but we really need to find some like absolute bangers to play. You know, like something that's really. I feel like we're kind of just poking at stuff and just not really. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I think.
Yeah.
I'm clearing backlog.
That's kind of where I'm at. Where I'm like, I need to intersperse this with some actual quality stuff. So I might pick up Ubisoft Plus or something maybe when I get back next week. We've also got the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition, where I come up with a game and I put it in our bot on Discord, and you have to guess what the game is by typing the title into the word challenge channel. You get one guess per hour, and every week I give away a clue. And we got up to 5 clues. I had a 6th one ready to go, but right before the show, someone got it. So the clues were: this game has multiple playable characters, was released before 2005, from a series that started in the 1980s. Has a series that has a movie or TV adaptation, and it's one of the first games in the series to go 3D. And game was, of course, Castlevania: Legacy of Darkness, a game that I'm sure most of you have never even fucking heard of.
No, I know. Like, I was looking at this going, that's a 3D Castlevania? I've not seen that one, but I clearly remember Castlevania 64, but what is that one?
So this is a game. This is a almost expansion, like a 1.5 version of Castlevania 3D, which was just called Castlevania on the N64.
Yeah.
It was essentially a prequel that had some of the same characters in it, but with an expanded story and some new other bits and pieces added on. Came out the same year. And I think it also had like Rumble Pack support. Okay. So it was, again, like a real weird. Again, it was a game I didn't even know existed until I was looking up, and I was playing Castlevania at the time, and I was thinking about what might be a good fit for this, and going through my list and being like, oh, Castlevania 3D 64 was probably not a bad one to go for, but I figured it'd be too obvious. So I picked a bit of a deep cut there, but congratulations to Happy Moogles who got it. Good job, mate. Some really good guesses in there. I was really interested to see where people's mind was going. Yeah. I'm glad a lot of people got involved towards the end there. And so I will have a new game for you guys next week, so stay tuned. We've also got our leaderboard, where on TA we can put you on the leaderboard to see how much score you earn in the last 7 days. And so in third place we have Thrash Forever with 17,325. Ozbuff Fanatic has been real busy with 22,230. I know there were some title updates the last couple of days. And Mephisto for the win with 24,035, which is a crazy amount of score in 7 days. But if you'd like to join, let us know. We can send you an invite. Super, super straightforward. All right. Completions. Keo, do you want to read through those?
Yeah, so the Colinator did GoldenEye 007 and Urban Flow. Stubby did Redfall and Totally Reliable Delivery Service. Dragbane did Mass Effect Andromeda. The Moonzum did DMC5 and the series. So that's a series completion now.
That's crazy. The Devil May Cry series is one of the hardest completions on the entire site.
Now, it needs to do like the DMC, like adjacent stuff. So, yeah.
It'd be very
like Bayonetta or something like that, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I always botch this one up. Is it Mike?
I think it's
ID,
Mike IDV.
Yes, did Call of Duty, so I guess that's the
most recent one, I guess. Again, I'm not sure. He just posted the completed game, so I'm assuming he just finished Black Ops.
Finished it. And Spice did Metaphor. Yeah, nice.
Nice job, everyone.
That's it.
And that's pretty much going to bring us
That
towards...
is kind of it.
Yeah, pretty much the end of the show, I think.
Yeah. Is there anything that Tom wanted to say or anything like that?
Yeah, Tom, I mean...
close out the episode.
I know you do. You have a YouTube channel and you do a few other bits and pieces. Now's the time to chill, mate.
Yeah, so you can kind of find me, Cavaliers07, Xbox, Discord. I'm always floating around, but I do have a YouTube channel, which is Cavaliers Gaming. Lots of guides on Fallout, Starfield, lots from Skull and Bones last year. I've been a bit quiet on there. I broke my wrist middle of last year, so I kind of had to have a break from everything. So hopefully we'll start kicking that back off soon. Attempted streaming as well, so you can find me on Twitch at Cavaliers Gaming as well. But yeah, don't know if I'm going to carry on with that right now. But yeah, you should. I'm quite easy to find.
Yeah,
and of course he's on our Discord, so you can hit him up there as well.
Yeah.
Cameron, you got anything going on?
I mean, I'm just playing every game in my backlog that I can. If you notice that we both have a game that has online components that we can get done, message me, Shadowless Edge on TA or Discord, and we can go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Kier.
Yeah. Well, Tom's probably heard me bang on about getting back to streaming like every episode since like the end of the year, but it's looking a little bit more possible now. Because I've got my setup back together. Finally, it's probably looking the best it's been. At How to Fix Gaming on YouTube for anything I post. Sorry. What? What was
Murphy's Law, Keo.
No. Yeah. I know, right? The stuff that's been going on lately, I am not going into. So at How to Fix Gaming on YouTube for anything I post. Also, my streams will show up there when I start streaming again. At Kill Live at Home on X, on Twitch, and Instagram as well. All that kind of stuff too. So yeah, but yeah, look forward to it.
Great. And I'm Neomaster on everything, True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord as always. I don't do a lot of co-op stuff, but I am maybe looking to get some people together for Dead Rising 2. There's the Terror is Reality that you need 6 people for. Might do some double boxing and some call in some favors, so that'd be a good one to get done. Just that's the main reason I haven't started it actually, but I figured it'd be a perfect one for March. But as always, like I said, we do the show live on Twitch, except for this week where the stream fucking broke. So if you're watching this video version, that'll be why.
Exactly.
So we'll see how long the Twitch thing goes for. But thank you so much to Tom for joining us. It's fantastic having you on, mate, especially as a huge supporter of the show. And a huge thank you to my co-host for being wonderful as always. This has been episode 158. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.